Hello everyone and welcome to Guwahati Meetup. The agenda for our today's meetup is simplifying plugin and dependency management with POM, Parent-POM and POM. Before we start, some safe harbor statement. Both the speaker and the host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity only. We are not representing our companies here. This presentation is strictly for learning purpose only. Organizer, presenter do not hold any responsibility that same solution will work for your business requirement. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Some housekeeping. A recording of this meetup will be shared in the meetup page within 24 hours. Questions can be submitted or asked in the chat, or you can unmute. You already have mic access, so you can do that so we can have it more interactive. Once the meetup is done, please share your feedback. You'll get a feedback form. Please share your feedback so that we can improve, or you can also suggest like what different meetups you want and we can arrange that. Uh, about myself, so I'm the organizer of Lucknow and Guwahati Meetup. I'm a MuleSoft ambassador, a regional leader for India Meetup Group. I'm a frequent speaker. I have total 9 years of experience and 7 in MuleSoft. I'm a certified and developer architect. Uh, I have certification for MuleSoft Industry and GTM Champion as well. I'm Salesforce Double Star Ranger. I have some certification in Salesforce, Solis, Telbumi, and GCP. I write blogs and create technical videos. I own a patent for developing a portable washing machine. So that's about me. So over to you, Sham. Would you like to share your screen and introduce yourself?
Yes. Let me know if it is visible now.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yep. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining this session. So, I'm Sham Kulkarni. Recently, I got an opportunity to be a MuleSoft Meetup leader for Lucknow Meetup Group. Uh, I love to solve problems and think around it. And yeah, having 3+ years of experience. So today we are going to look at the Maven basics, a scenario, build redundancies and duplication, the POM hierarchy. We'll discuss about the parent POM and bill of materials BOM, and then demo. And at the end, we can have a Q&A, and if quiz is also there. So dependency management is complex and often a frustrating part of software development. And you might also be worried about how to manage different plugins and dependencies efficiently. So here I will show you an efficient way to manage the dependencies for your Mule application. Okay. Before that, let's see some Maven basics. So we use Maven to avoid writing scripts for building projects and manually downloading the dependencies. The dependencies are nothing but libraries or jar files, and we need to specify required dependencies within a pom.xml file. Now Maven, it parses the pom.xml file and checks for dependencies within the local Maven repository. If it doesn't find them in the local Maven repository, it tries to get them from the Maven central repository, this remote repository. It can be like plugins or dependencies. Once it finds from this remote repository, it will store in the .m2 local repository, local Maven. But how does Maven finds them? Okay, so when the Maven is parsing the pom.xml, and if it doesn't finds in the local M2, it goes to remote repo. But what is that search parameter? How it searches in the central repository? So Maven uses Maven coordinates, group ID, artifact ID, and version combination for everything like projects, dependencies, and plugins which are defined in the pom.xml, like here. And for external credentials, okay, so these are the examples of like Mule HTTP connector and Mule Maven plugin. So this is a dependency and a plugin. And let's say if our Mule app wants to connect with a remote repository, let's say Anypoint Exchange or Nexus repository or Mule Enterprise Nexus repository, it will make use of like this external credentials in settings.xml. So we use this Maven settings.xml to connect with external repository, and we give the credentials which will be used by Maven to connect with these external repositories. Okay. Now, within Maven, there is a specific life cycle which Maven follows to deploy and distribute the target projects. Now, Maven lifecycle, so Maven follows this to deploy and distribute the target projects, right? And there are three built-in lifecycle: a default, clean, and site. So default, it is the main lifecycle of Maven, and it is responsible for project deployment. Clean is for cleaning the project and remove all the files generated by previous build. So I mean, you might have used this command often, mvn clean, right? So it basically deletes the target folder. When we will do the demo, I'll show you this, its application, how it is used. And the aim of this site lifecycle is to create projects site documentation. Now each lifecycle is made up of sequence of phases, and a Maven phase is a stage in a Maven build life cycle. Okay, and each phase executes a specific task. So, like, here are the important phases or how it executes, right? Let's say if you execute the mvn clean install command, before executing the install command, it will go through all these phases: validate, initialize, compile, test package, all these phases. Okay. So let's go one by one. Validate phase. So it checks if all the information necessary for build is available or not. Okay. Then after that, it will initialize. Compile phase will compile the source code. After that, we can have like test compile which will compile the test source code. Then we have the test, which runs the unit test cases. After that, we have a package. So it packages the compiled source code into a distributed format like jar and like Java archive and web archive. Okay. In Mule, it is Java archive. So we'll see that. Integration test, like process and deploy the package if needed to run the integration test, this phase. After that, it verifies. And the install phase, it installs to a local Maven repository .m2 folder. Okay. And the deploy will copy this installed package or the jar to a remote repository. It can be Anypoint Exchange or yeah, or to Cloud Hub as well. We can deploy using Mule Maven plugin. Now this MVN phase, right? It is same as MVN plugin colon goal. So if I say MVN install, right? Behind the scenes, it is MVN install plugin is there, and the goal is also install. Okay. Most probably, these goals are the Java classes. I haven't seen it in depth, but yeah, so far what I've seen is this goal are Java classes only, what it executes. Okay. Now, Mule Maven plugin, it enables you to integrate the packaging and deployment of your Mule application within the Maven lifecycle. So we can use MVN package, okay, or something like this: org mule tools maven, mule maven plugin, followed by its version and followed by the goal. So if you see, what are these three components? It is nothing but group id, artifact id, version. So mvn, if you see this, mvn plugin colon goal, so these are the plugin details colon the goal is package. Okay. And it builds, so let's say in Mule, whatever jar we build, it takes this kind of naming: artifact ID, version, Mule application dot jar. So let's say if your API name is sample API, so it will be like this: sample API hyphen 1.0.0, assuming version is that, hyphen mule application.jar, and it can be found in target folder. And this deploy phase, it is similar, just the goal is changed here. So we are going to deploy it to, let's say, Cloud Hub or RTF or standalone servers. Okay. I hope we are clear until this point. Any questions, Abhishek?
I don't think any question at present, Shyam. We
Okay.
can continue.
Okay. Yep. Now I'll go through the demo. Okay. Let me delete this file. Before that, I'll just keep a copy of this. Okay. I'll actually create a books API. Okay. Create a new project. So this is a sample books API.raml. Okay. Nothing fancy. I mean, just one endpoint get all books. Okay. Uh, okay. Let me check.
Shyam, just give a minute. Okay, just give a minute. Stop sharing once.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys. Just coming back. Give us 2 minutes. Go on mute. Sorry, guys. Meanwhile, if anyone have any question, please let us know. And I'm just sharing link where you can get this meetup. Also, you can get the meetups for the past what we have done. All that you can get in this page, and you can be a member of the meetup. You can join the meetup group so that if anything happens in the group, you will be notified through email. Meanwhile, if anyone have any question, uh, feel free to ask. He's just sharing in a few minutes again.
Okay, Abhishek, I can share now.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And hide this bar, this sharing bar. You can hide it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Carry on.
Okay. So before moving on to the demo, I just wanted to cover one more scenario. Okay. So let's consider a scenario where an e-commerce organization is launching a new mobile application to provide like online shopping experience to its customers. Now, multiple development teams like order fulfillment, and payment services teams are building integrations and APIs required to support the end-to-end solution. And this requires designing the consumer-focused API specifications and connecting multiple internal as well as third-party systems, while also working with the central IT. So to realize this, a set of APIs and integrations are being developed using MuleSoft by adding it to API-led methodology. Okay, and each team is working at its own pace. So one of the major pain points that every team faces is to effectively manage dependencies in Mule applications. And the organization's IT leadership typically sets these standards that must be met. As per the compliance and government standards, like each team must only use the central IT approved dependencies, the Mule Maven plugins and their associated versions set by the leadership team, let's say. Now, each team is also responsible for reducing the redundancy as much as possible, which includes to make use of existing functionality wherever possible, also making use of the standard and enterprise logging as well as exception handling frameworks, which are already available in the let's say corporate nexus repository as mule modules, or even in the anypoint exchange it can be present as an asset. Other examples can also include like common mule flows, the reusable data view modules, and so on. Like we can have those reusable assets as well. And also each team must make use of the common health checkpoint implementation in every mule app, just to check the heartbeat of the mule application in the frequent time intervals, right? And this is also packaged as a mule module and published to the nexus repository, a centralized place. And each team must adhere to corporate governance standards such as like give repository organization and branching strategies, which can be a poly repository model. So we will see like how we can effectively manage dependencies in this poly repository model where there are like multiple line of businesses. Okay, so let's see build redundancies and duplication. Okay, so we'll talk about like some issues with dependency management, this build redundancies, and how to solve them using Parent-POM and master-POM concepts. So let's understand why dependency and plugin management is a complex task by, let's say, taking this simple example or a scenario. Let's assume we have a developer, Chris. Okay, he's working on an application called Project ABC. His pom.xml is containing the Mule Maven plugin version 1.1.1. He is using one worker of type micro, and also he is using an HTTP Mule HTTP connector, right, of version 1.1.1. Now his Maven package command mvn package, when he tries to run on his system, it is failing and he is unable to fix it. Okay, so naturally he will connect to his colleague, right? So he connects to Jamie, let's say. So Jamie is also a developer working on the same project ABC. Now, upon discussion, they found out that Jamie's Maven package command is working as expected, but they found that they are using different configuration values. As here, right? The version is different, worker type of workers are different, and here also HTTP connector version is different from what Chris was using. Now, both of them are not sure which configuration is correct, right? So they reached out to another developer named, let's say, Colin, and Colin is working on some different application named as Project XYZ. Okay, here the projects are different, but they are working for the same organization. Okay, so Colin's pom.xml configuration uses all the latest versions of plugins and dependencies. Okay, now here you can see all of them are inconsistent, right? Which one is correct? I mean, let's say Jamie might be correct or Colin might be correct. How do we know that, right? So this issue will arise when an organization doesn't have a standard build configuration in place. And this can be avoided by extracting this Mule Maven plugin configurations, which are not specific to a Mule application, to a reusable parent POM. We can extract this, delete this from the pom.xml and keep it in the parent POM. Okay, we'll see how we are going to do that. And at the same time, the dependency management, all the dependencies in the pom.xml, they can also be extracted into their own parent POM, where the versionings of all the plugins and dependencies will exist into another parent POM, which is called as BOM, bill of materials file. Okay. The reason why we have a separate POM for versions, okay, where the versions will be maintained, it will be in bill of materials, only the dependencies and plugin versions. Configurations only in parent POM. Okay. And our Mule application pom.xml, it can uh, use everything from the parent POM and master BOM, while it can override the versions by defining on its own pom.xml. Okay, so let's assume that HTTP connector version is being defined as 1.9.0 over here. There was a recent release from MuleSoft and they released a 2.0.0 version. Let's say you can actually override this by adding your own connector version over here. So pom.xml will override the bill of materials if not mentioned. Okay. So the reason why we have this separate POM for versions and for plugin management is because it is more common to update the dependencies or plugin versions compared to plugin configurations. Okay. And in this way, we can reduce the redundancies by making all the projects using a centralized parent POM and BOM. And any changes to these POMs will be reflected in all the projects. Okay. So there might be 1000 projects going on. Developers need not worry about what plugin configurations and dependencies versions they need to use. Okay, that will be workable and defined by, let's say, the IT team. Okay, so let's go to the demo now. So I'll create a new Mule project. Let's say I'll download it from importing the YAML from design. So as I mentioned that this books API, I will just give some different name. Okay. So just a sample API, okay. Get endpoint which fetches this dummy data as of now. Get all the books. Let me show you. Yeah, this simple. Okay. Now let's say our application uses this. Okay, let's go to the pom.xml. How it looks. I'll just format it. I never use this snapshot, so I'll remove this. Okay. So whenever a Mule application or a Maven creates this project structure, right, and initializes with this pom.xml. So pom.xml is kind of heart of the Mule application. If this doesn't exist, Mule application is useless. It won't work. So group ID, artifact ID, and versioning. These are the GAV coordinates. Okay. How it can uniquely determine your Mule application in any repository. Okay. Whether it be local Maven or central Maven repository. But these are specific to your Mule API or application, let's say. Okay. So packaging is Mule application. This name represents this particular name, and these GAV coordinates will basically define the jar name, what is going to build in final. App.runtime, the Mule runtime, and the Mule Maven plugin version is defined here. We have a build section which contains the plugins, okay, like clean plugin or Mule Maven plugin version for deploying to a cloud up 2.0 or 1.0, let's say. Here are the dependencies which our Mule application uses. HTTP connector, sockets connector, and API kit module, because this is a YAML based project. These repositories like Anypoint Exchange v3 and MuleSoft releases, these are all open repositories and doesn't require any credentials. But let's say if you want to push an asset to a remote repository, you might need to add the distribution management tag in order to upload it to a remote repository. And the plugin repositories, here, whatever plugins you defined, they will be stored as a jar or libraries in that remote repository. Okay. Like a simple example, if I show you, let's visit this repository. So yeah, here you can see all the repositories are being mentioned here. Let's find, our plugin. So it is org Apache Maven plugins or org Mule Tools Maven. So do we have an org here? Yep, org Apache. We have Maven plugins also we have, and from here only they are being fetched basically. Okay. Let's add few more connectors. Okay. So let's say our Mule application is also using object store connector. Okay. And one more I'll add. Let's say validations module. Okay. Whenever I add those connectors, it automatically adds in the dependencies. Okay. And if I comment them out, even in the project structure also, it is visible, right? These are the jar files. See, all of them are jar files. If I comment it out here, it will immediately get removed from the project structure. See, if I commented this out. Okay. Now I'll do some few things. So let's assume this is our Anypoint platform, okay? Or this Anypoint platform is for the organization that we might be working for, right? And building these projects for. So this is the group ID, okay? Which we can add. So all the packages that we are going to work on or we are going to install from our local machine, they will basically reside in this particular folder, okay? And it's a best practice. So this is one way to find the organization ID. Another way would be to go into access management, which most of us might not have access to, because this is admin stuff. But if you do have access, you can check it in the business groups, MuleSoft Meetup, and here you can see the business group ID. This is the one. But if you do not have, here's an alternative. You can directly go to the root page or the home page, okay, and in the URL itself you can find the business group ID, okay. So as a practice, I always try to add the group ID over here, okay. So GAV are set. Now I'll show you, okay, I'll add one more properties file over here. So let's stop. In the source main resources, I'll add it here. One more API I will add, okay. So actually, I was not able to connect with my Anypoint platform as secure credentials are there here. So let's assume this is a YAML based application. Okay. For now, let's assume this as a YAML based. So immediately its dependency got added over here, right? In our case, it might be that this classifier will be like a zip file or OS or YAML specification, right? And our API details will be mentioned over here. Okay. Now, if it is a YAML based project, okay, so we can extract all the dependencies and put it into the properties.yaml file, okay, and keep it at one place only. Let's say I'll remove this. And whatever versions we have. So group id properties.yaml, the artifact id, and the version. I'm going to add it over here. In addition to that, I need to make one configuration as well, just to point it, just to point our mule application referencing this properties.yaml. Okay. So now it will be able to refer. Okay. Whenever it is a raml based application and the flows are being scaffolded, right, it actually creates this router config, right? And the router config will look something like this, api books.raml. But if it is being fetched from any point exchange, it will take a form like resource colon colon, then group id, artifact id, and then version, and followed by some extra parameters. Okay. So as a practice, what we can do, we can extract all these parameters and keep it into a single place. Okay. So assuming that this was the API specification that we downloaded for now, we can assume this. We just added the properties over here. Okay. And here also we can make it dynamic. Now let's say this version of this API 1.1.5, this can change in future. Let's say 2.0.0. So the version changes should be reflected at both the places in the API kit router config as well as the properties.yaml. I mean, this config, these properties can be used somewhere else as well. Okay, that's where we can now make it dynamic, and I'll show you the significance of Maven resource plugin. Okay, we are going to check its functioning. So I'll just add these parameters in the properties section and make this dynamic. Dollar, oh sorry, in here this is group id, and this is artifact id. Okay, and even this file, I'll just do like this, or wait, I do have the copy, so I'll just directly add the file. Like this, I have made it dynamic. Okay, so the this properties group id, artifact id, and version. Okay, we hope that it will be coming from this place. Okay, but it cannot happen directly. So we need to add a Maven resource plugin. We'll have that in Parent-POM. I'm just copying it and placing it in the plugin section. I'll add its version. So the recent I know is of 3.2.0 version. Okay. So we have added this plugin. Okay. And in the resources, I mean, in its configuration, we have resources. We are telling that do not filter any resources present in this source main resources folder. Okay, so by filtering we mean populating of this particular values. Okay, but we are also specifying that filter the resources present in this properties.yaml. So we'll see how it works. Before that, I'll just copy the path. Okay, we'll remove this. We'll go to that folder. Okay, so what all things we have? So we have the target folder. Okay, I'll just go through the target folder. So we have something called as classes. Okay, this application is yet to be run. Okay, so we have properties.yaml. If I open the properties.yaml, okay, here you can see it is still dynamic. The properties from the pom.xml are not being fetched over here. Okay, so this is before running it. Now, since we have added this Maven resource plugin, and if I run the project now, okay, let's see if it populates this dynamic values here from the pom.xml, what we defined over here in properties section, this set of coordinates. Any questions until this point?
Yeah, we have few questions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, would you like to unmute Vikas or should I read it for you? Do you have mic access? Okay. So he's asking like if we don't have settings.xml configured with server element with any
Mm-hmm.
point exchange credentials, do we need to configure the same in application pom.xml to fetch dependency from central Maven repo?
See, there are some repositories which do not require any credentials. Okay, they are like public, open source, which MuleSoft even has. Let's say, I mean, I'll give you a specific scenario. The If you write munits for your project, okay, those libraries, munit runner, and I guess there is one another library. These libraries or jar files are only present in Mule Enterprise Nexus repository, which is a secured one. Okay, and it requires username and password. So in such cases, we need to define that repository name along with that its credentials in the settings.xml. That's how we will be able to access. But there are few repositories which can be directly accessible. I
So
hope that answers. Yeah,
over that we have a question from Shivam saying how can we access it later?
we can access it later.
Shivam, would you like to unmute and define what we are asking?
No worries, we can take it at the end as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll do a Q&A at the end
yeah,
so that whatever questions you have we can ask at that point. Like you can unmute and we can have a question and answer session.
yep. So now we have deployed our project. Okay, let me see if it is running. So if we are able to fetch anything. See, okay, we are able to get the response. Okay, but now this properties, right? Are these getting populated or not? Let's see. With the Maven resource plugin and the filtering criteria that we added, if we refresh now and see again, wait. Let me open it only. See, the properties are automatically being filtered and they have been populated over here, right? If you look at the properties.ml, but if you look at the Mule applications properties, they are still dynamic. They are only placeholders. But with the help of this Maven resource plugin and filtering criteria, we are actually able to see the values being populated. So when did this occurred? I mean, when the Mule was running its app, it was basically going through those Maven phases that we discussed earlier, and it executed this Maven resource goal. Okay, I'll stop this now, and let's move on to our important part: how we can build the parent-POM and BOM now. Okay, for that, okay, before that, let me show you one more thing. So this is our root directory. Okay. So we have exchange docs, mule artifact.json, pom.xml, src, and target folder. If I do mvn clean command, okay, let's see, it was successful. Again, if I look at the project structure, you can see the target is removed, whereas the target was there. So the clean life cycle that we discussed about, it actually cleans the target folder. Okay. If I do mvn clean package command, let's see, it is used for building a jar file, Java archive. Okay, so it mentioned over here that it builded a zip at this particular location. So whenever we use this mvn clean package command, it will actually create a jar in our target folder. If I move to the target folder, do ls, here you can see, right, book API 1.0.0 mule application.jar. Now you might remember in the slides we have seen, right, how, I mean, the naming convention of the jar, it is artifact ID version hyphen mule application dot jar. Okay. So see, artifact ID is book API, version is 1.0.0, and mule application dot jar in the suffix. Let's see if the artifact what we had. See, artifact ID is book API, version is this one. So that's how the jars are created. Okay. If I go again back and do mvn clean install now, okay, what it does, let's see. So what it should do, this jar, whatever it is generated, right, it will install that or copy that jar file to our local maven repository .m2. Okay, so this maven itself says, okay, where it did this particular process. So installing from this particular location, see, from our target location where the jar is present, it copied that jar to this particular place .m2/repository. This is our organization ID. See, now that's why there is a significance of adding this group ID as your AnyPoint platform business group ID. So all the assets will be coming under a single place. Okay. Let's see how it appears. So we have this 7B89, right? Book API. Okay, I'll delete this one because I was trying out yesterday. So Book API is the recent one, 1.0.0 version. Book API application.jar. If you look at the timestamp, 30th of August and 11:18 a.m., just 1 minute before, right? So that's the purpose of Maven install, mvn clean install. If you want to have a look at your current settings.xml, now you might have 1000 settings.xml, okay? I mean, just a hypothetical scenario, but how we get to know which settings.xml my current Maven is referencing to, okay? So here's a command, mvn space help, okay, colon effective hyphen settings. If I execute this, see, it will give me my settings.xml, what exactly I am referencing. So it is referencing to this local repository. That's why it pushed our jar file to this particular location. Okay. Now let me show you another scenario. So this is my settings.xml kept over here. Okay. If I edit it, now let's say if I change the path, okay, let's assume that this is my repository where I want to install that jar file, let's say, okay, or if it is a custom M2 folder, I'll just take custom M2 repo. Okay, I'll copy the path and add it over here. This repository I will change. Let's see the effects. So earlier it installed the package to .m2 folder. If I execute the command again, let's see if the settings.xml is updated or not. See, it is actually trying to populate all the required dependencies over here. Okay, so it will take some time. I'll stop this process, but yeah, it will eventually do this process. Okay, it will consume a lot of time to download those dependencies. Okay, so I'll switch it back to uh, this particular repository. I'll change the path of this. Let's say if it is changed back, yeah, here we are able to see. Okay, now we will create the parent-POM first. So in the same book API where our Mule application is residing, I will create another folder named as, let's say, parent-POM. Okay. So inside this parent-POM, I will actually create a pom.xml file. Okay. So can I? So book API I will open over here. Here we can see. So this is the parent-POM folder. Okay. This is the mule application pom.xml file. Okay, I will copy this file and put it over here as well in this parent-POM. I just wanted to make the two same copies of that. How we can build a parent-POM. Okay, make it split. Okay, so on the left we have the mule application pom.xml. On the right we just copied the this pom.xml into here. Now let's do the filter. Okay, now I'll name this artifact ID because this is parent-POM. So I'll name this as parent-POM. Okay. Packaging will be POM. Okay, not mule application. Name as well I will do here as parent-POM only. Okay. All these properties, experience API version, experience API group ID, artifact ID, this is something which is specific to a particular mule application and may not be required by a lot of mule applications, right? So all the specific things we will restrict it to the application specific pom.xml. Okay, I will remove this properties from parent-POM. Similarly, this project build source encoding, project reporting, output encoding, app runtime, Mule Maven plugin version, this can be generalized to all the Mule applications, right? So we can remove these properties from application specific properties. Okay. Now, here, all the versionings, or the dependencies, right? So let's see these versionings, right? Let's manage it from parent-pom.xml. So this resources plugin version, I'll move this clean plugin version, and the Mule Maven plugin version I will actually remove from application specific and keep it over here in parent-POM. And as we saw earlier, the parent-POM will contain plugin configurations only. Okay, so the Maven resource plugin has a configuration, right? So let's remove this configuration from application specific pom.xml and have it over here only in parent-POM. Okay, all the dependencies for the time being, let's manage it from parent-POM. Okay, so I will remove the dependencies version from the application specific, all the dependencies. This is application specific because this is a raml, so I will keep the versioning over here only because we haven't defined any properties for this in the parent-POM. Okay, Similarly, the repositories, plugin repositories, we can delete from application specific and have it over here only in Parent-POM. Okay. So, yep. So I guess now we are sorted. Yep, everything is over here. In order for our, I'll save this now. Okay, this one as well as this one. In order for our application specific POM to refer to parent POM, we need to give its path. Okay, or a parent tag. So here I'll just copy the group ID, artifact ID, and version here. So in addition to that, I will give a relative path where it is actually found. So it will be just go one folder back, because if you remember, we have the parent POM over here. So we need to go one folder back and reference this pom.xml, right? So, sorry. So like this parent POM slash pom.xml. This is the relative path. Okay. I'll just format this XML. Similarly, okay, one more point. All the plugins, we need to define it under plugin management tab. Plugin management, this is the opening tag. Where does it closes? It closes here with an ending tag. Similarly, for dependencies, we are going to manage it from dependency management tab. Okay. Start tag and its end will be here with a closing tag. Okay. So now let's go to our Mule application. It should be terrible. Okay, let's see if it is showing any errors or not. See, pom.xml has problems. Okay, because it is not able to reference it. Okay, if I close the project, again open it, let's see. Still, it has some problems. Now, if I show you the pom.xml file, currently we have no versions, right? All the versions are being there in parent pom.xml. Okay. Now, why this pom.xml is showing us problems? It is not able to resolve the dependencies. Even in the project structure, you cannot see anything, right? Any module being added. Let's install our parent POM. Okay, so I'll move to the parent POM folder. Wait. So I have the pom.xml. If I do mvn clean install, before that I will show you in our .m2 folder this 7b8. We currently have this parent POM folder. I will delete this. Okay, just to see what this command will do. Okay.
The current one, what was showed in that parrot form, that was a corrupted file. So
Yeah, that was a corrupted file.
that was not working.
Okay. So it says, So what is the mistake over here? This dependency, which was application specific, right? This raml, let's say this was a raml. This application specific, I kept it in parent POM, and there are no values being defined in the properties section. Whereas here you can see there are this properties defined in application specific, but not in parent POM. So we can remove this dependency. Okay, because this is not application specific. Okay, if I run the command once again, wait, I'll delete this. And execute mvn clean install. Let's see. See, build was success. It installed my parent POM to this m2 repository folder. Okay, so here if you see, Parent-POM 1.0.0. Here you can see the Parent-POM is updated 11:31 a.m. just 1 minute before. So this is how we installed our Parent-POM. If I now close the project, okay, and let's see if I open it once again, whether it still shows pom.xml has some problems. No, it doesn't. And here you can see, right, all the versions or all the modules are being uploaded. You might have a question, okay, we didn't define any versions over here. Validation module, there is no version, but still it is taking 2.0.5. So it is referencing from parent.parent.pom basically. Okay. Now one more interesting thing I will show. Let's say the HTTP connector version, it is 190. I will switch it to 181. Okay, and save it. So our current Mule application is pointing to HTTP connector version 1.9.0. Okay, and in my pom.xml, I haven't defined any version for HTTP connector. Okay, if I close the project, again open it, it is still showing me 1.9.0. It is because I haven't installed my parent POM after making the changes to it. I changed the version, so whenever I make a change, I need to execute mvn clean install again. Okay. If I close the project again and reopen it, the changes should be in effect. Okay. The version what I changed.
You haven't done the installation, no? Ambient clean install.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't did the ambient clean install again.
Okay. So now let me close this. Uh, Maybe this version doesn't exist. That might be the case. 1.8.1, right? This version might not be existing. I need to check the versions, but yeah.
You can try with 1.9.3. That's the
Mhm.
1.9.3 or 1.9.4.
Okay. Or let me remove this again and execute it once again. No, it is still taking that same.
Clean your project. Go to projects and do a clean, and then you try. Now close and restart.
Let's see. Okay, if I run the project, it might show.
Yeah, HTTP connector 1.9.3. I can see that.
Yep. So why it didn't upload it is because it is not downloaded in my local maven M2 repository. So now when this project will run, it will actually download it from central repository and put it into my local maven. Okay. Let's wait for the application getting deployed. Okay, here you can see the things. HTTP version 1.9.3 it is currently using. Okay, that we defined over here in the parent form, and it is not being added in our application specific form as there are no versions. So now since this is now deployed, okay, if I close the project and the dependency should be downloaded from central, Okay, it might still be showing that, but yeah, it is using 1.9.3 whenever it gets deployed. Okay. Now let's go to building the master bomb. Okay. So I'll create another folder master bomb at the root. Oh, and if I see over here, now I will add copy this parent-pom. Okay. This pom.xml from parent-pom, I will copy it to master bomb. So now parent-pom and master bomb are same. I will remove the extra stuff. Master bomb here, parent-pom here, and remove the oh, switch it. Just wanted to. Okay. So if we look at here, this is my parent POM. Now we are not touching application specific POM. Okay, we are not touching this one. This will stay as it is. Now everything we are going to manage from between this parent POM and master POM. First things first, let's change the name of this. It is not parent POM. It is no master POM. Packaging type is the same. Name we will change it to master POM. Okay. Now, as we did earlier, uh, all the dependencies and plugin versions will reside in bill of materials file, and all the plugin configurations will reside in parent POM. Okay, let's stick to this. Dependency management, repositories, plugin repositories, everything I will remove from parent POM. Okay, so I have removed everything. I have just kept the plugin versions or the build, whatever build configurations are there, I have just kept it over here. Rest everything will be managed from here. Even the versions, as we discussed, versions will not be present in uh, the parent POM, but it will stay here. Okay, like this here as well. And I will just do an XML format. Yep, it's done. Similarly, in order to reference this parent POM to reference master POM, we need to add a parent tag. Okay, this is important. I mean, we added it in the application specific as well to refer to parent POM, and parent POM to refer to master POM. We need to add this one as well. So this is the one. In addition to that, I am adding the relative path as well. So it will be just go one folder back, okay, and search for master POM. Within master POM, you will find the pom.xml. Just do a XML format. Okay. So parent POM we are sorted now. Let's look at the master POM only. So everything is there. What we can do, since we want to maintain the dependencies at one place only, uh, even these versions, right? So I will copy them. So it is maven dot resources dot version. I will add it over here. Maven dot resources dot version. Copy this and make this dynamic. Oh, not at the correct place here. Okay, and the clean plugin, let's say it was 3.0.0, right? So maven.clean.version. I'll copy this, create a tag 3.0.0, add it over here. And Mule Maven plugin version, it is already there. Here you can see. Same thing, we are going to do it for dependencies. So we have like Mule sockets connector dot version. It is 1.2.3, 1.2.3. I'll just replace it here with its dynamic value dot version. Okay, and same thing for API kit. Okay, dot version. API kit dot version. Another can be validations dot version.
Can you fix the row number 19th?
Row number 19.
Yeah, it should be
correct.
version. Yeah.
Yeah. We have used object store as well, so os dot version also I will add. Okay. So object store is 1.2.1. And validations is 2.0.5. Make it dynamic. API kit dot version. It is already added. Only HTTP connector version is remaining. So HTTP dot connector dot version. HTTP dot connector dot version. I'll keep it 1.9.0. Okay. Since currently when we ran our Mule application, it was 1.9.3. Now in the upcoming run, we will see if it switches back to 1.9.0 or not. Okay, and yeah, I'll copy this. I hope there are no spelling mistakes. Yeah, and repositories, plugin repositories, everything is there. So Mule sockets, connector version, API kit version, OS version, validation version, and this one. Yeah. Version spelling is correct. Okay, here it is wrong. It is should be dot. Yeah, Maven resources version, clean version. Mule sockets connector dot version. Yep, that is also right. Okay, let's see if any error occurs, Maven will say yes. Now we have made modifications to both Parent-POM as well as master-POM. So whenever there is a modification, we need to install them. I'll first go to Parent-POM, do an MVN clean install over there. Before that, let me show you the current status. I will delete it. Okay. Okay. So validation dot version, there is an error. Because of this validation, and it is in plural. Yeah. Save it. Yeah. Build was success, and it builded the Parent-POM over here. Okay. Let's do the same thing for master-POM. Okay. So it was also built successful. Master BOM is also here. Okay. If I close the project, open it once again, let's see if there are any errors. No errors at all. See, the versions are not defined here, not in Parent-POM, but in bill of materials. Okay, kind of a transitive dependency. If I run the project now, let's see what versions it references. So earlier it was 1.9.3 for HTTP connector. Now it should be 1.9.0. Let me search for not only for HTTP but for another, let's say, validation module. So 2.0.5 we have used. Let's use 2.0.4, which is yep, I'll change this one. Okay. So yeah, HTTP connector is back to 1.9.0 now. Okay. Validations module we just changed, but we haven't installed it. So I will stop this application now. Install the master BOM again. Okay. It is installed. If I rerun it or close the project and reopen, let's see, it should switch back to 2.0.4. So here you can see, right, when the Maven is running, it mentioned this, downloading from any point exchange v3. This is the URL from where it is downloading 2.0.4 because it is not in my local Maven. That's why it downloaded this first. Okay, we'll see. So even meanwhile it is running, even the Cloud Up deployment plugin, right, which you can add it over here. As of now, I haven't added, but yeah, you can add it over here directly because the configurations will stay in Parent-POM only. Okay, it is deployed. Yep, validation module. It is now taking 2.0.4. Interesting fact, there are no versions over here. We have removed the version tag from here, but still it is able to reference. So that's how you can do, and that concludes the demo. If I run it, let's see, should be again able to receive response. Yep, that's all from my side.